Welcome to Reddit Talks Clash. It's our podcast run by the moderators of r/Clash of Clans. Tonight, very special guest, Clash with Eric of One Hive Gaming. How you doing, Eric?
Pretty good here, just chilling. Long stream today. Streamed a lot of events today. That was wild.
Oh yeah, you've been crazy busy lately.
Oh yeah. Well, we just got back from California. We were out there doing the Snapdragon, me and Clash Bashing were. So that was a pretty wild show that we had out there, and a lot of travel. Like they were doing like weekly shows every single Friday, and we had to go all the way to California for it. So, it's a good sign for like Clash of Clans esports as a whole. But it was rough. It was a rough summer to say the least, but we made it.
What's next for you?
Well, beginning of August, we have the Snapdragon Finals. So that'll be the golden ticket competition. So they have the North American, the EU, and the India teams have all been decided now. So 4 from each region are all going to play that first Thursday and Friday of August. And then on the Sunday is going to be the finals where the winner of each of the regions will face out for the golden ticket to Clash of Worlds. So that'll be our third ticket to give away.
That's a lot of commuting, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that one will be a little bit different because that one will be the first time post-pandemic that they are actually sending players to an event, which is kind of a big deal, you know.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Everything else has just been casters, and that's the first time they're actually sending players.
Wow. That's a really good sign, to be honest, because, I remember when there was even doubts about whether this year's Clash Worlds would be hosted online or in real life, but it's good to see that now they're almost fully transitioning back to having real people there, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Just overall, how do you feel about the changes to the whole Worlds and all the setup that's been going on this year?
I mean, it's been obviously I'm not sure how the last 4 tickets are going to go. I mean, we'll see how the new format works, but I mean, before they would do like every single month they'd do the big competition with Supercell. Now we have like these drawn out competitions with the first 4 tickets, like 2 through the Queso Cup, 1 from the Snapdragon, and 1 from the Clash Masters, and then the other 4 are all coming from the same tournament. And I gotta look out the exact breakdown how that's all going to play out there. But like, I don't want to say they're going to rush timeline, but it feels like they're going to be on a little bit of a rush timeline to
it's
get
coming up quick.
Tickets. Yeah, it's like all starts like at the end of August, beginning of September, and then Clash Worlds is the end of September. So like teams will like play through, rapidly qualify, and then they need to turn right back around and get ready to travel out to Worlds, you know? So it's gonna be interesting to say the least. The timeline's gonna be very, very rapid, and I hope the players and the teams are ready to be able to do that, because like people got to take time off work and they don't know that they qualify until they qualify, you know? So it's difficult, and they got to get passports and everything too. And it's going to be a scramble at the end there. I can just already see it.
So I know one of the big complaints we've been seeing on Reddit, the whole last year, is just the perception that Town Hall 14 is too easy, at least on the pro side. There's been a lot of teams kind of stepping back and enjoying the game less when it's, you know, all 14, 15 Star Wars. So I mean, how do you feel about the balance at 14 right now?
I think it's good right now. I think we're seeing significantly fewer Perfect Wars than we were before, because like for a while, like before they nerfed the Super Dragons, and when we had like everything was just Super Dragons at everything, and they just didn't miss. And every random team who broke out Super Dragons just had to get lucky to be able to get through to the end of a competition, right? That became a little bit of a problem. But then they nerfed it. Now we're seeing almost nobody use Super Dragons. And we're actually seeing people breaking out Electro Dragons, which can be tricky to use against those type bases. So it's like we're seeing a lot more balance. The Perfect Wars are a lot fewer and far between. There's only a couple teams who are consistently getting them, and like we see maybe 4 or 5 of them per tournament bracket. Like it's not like most scores are coming 13 or 14, and that's expected from that level of team, you know. But in that average war, like most wars and most slightly lower tournaments are maybe averaging like a 50% hit rate. So that would put us at 12 and 13 score wars, you know, and that's with like especially when you start to go into like mixed breakdown wars where people have extra accounts from like slow or lower town hall levels and they can get scouts and everything like that. Then you start to see the town hall 14s getting cleared and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as the esports side, I think it's pretty good balance right now. I think it's a really, really good spot. I think they should just let it sit and don't touch it all the way until Worlds, because if they start tweaking it anywhere between now and then it's going to throw people off. And then just roll straight into Channel 15 and we can adjust after that, you know?
I think it's quite interesting that Super Dragons really aren't used. Well, I say aren't used. They're obviously still used somewhat, but I remember when the nerf came out, everyone was like, oh, that nerf's okay, but I don't think it's huge. But yet, they seem to have died from the meta, like you said, in replacement of Electro Dragons. So was it
not just Electro Dragons?
Yeah,
but like it's not just A-Drags, it's like the Hydras. Just Hydras in general seem to be more effective than Super Dragons in a lot of cases.
Yeah, which is weird because I remember when the update came out, I don't think anyone made a big deal about the Super Dragon change being hugely impactful. So I wonder if we just didn't realize, or whether it was just what actually happened there. Why didn't we think it was a huge change when it came out?
I made a few videos on it. Maybe they didn't catch your attention, but I'll work on my thumbnails.
I remember. I think at least on the subreddit, at least I don't think a huge thing. That's where I mainly get all my opinions from, just seeing what people are complaining about. Which is usually a lot of things. Everyone has something to complain about. Yeah, I wonder. Talking about people complaining about things. If we want to talk about maybe Tower 14 and the kind of possible lack of content we've been getting recently in terms of the highest level.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it helps the general player. Like the clan capital it was a big deal. Like, they made a big deal out of it. It doesn't really. It is fun for the people who enjoy it, but it doesn't really have that big of an impact. I think the impact that it had was bringing siege machines to the normal player that may not have had access to it, or the super troop donation, stuff like that. That has had a big impact and opens up a lot of variety. And then the costless armies, like all of that stuff, like that's been really, really impactful for a lot of players. And I know it helps people farm faster, helps people progress faster. But as far as like new strategies emerging out of new content and new troops introduced and stuff like that, obviously we're not seeing that. But like the changes that are happening are taking the strategies that people are seeing all over YouTube and don't really have access to, and giving them access to it because they can get the raid medal donations and stuff like that. And they have access to things that otherwise they probably wouldn't have access to. And now they can actually go try out all the different strategies that they keep seeing all the time, but maybe they don't have with free armies and easy donations, they can play with whatever they want. I think it opens up a lot of opportunity for the normal player.
Yeah, there's been a lot of complaints with a lack of Town Hall 14 content, but this year really has been crushing it with quality of life stuff. The Hero Extra Life was massive, and it definitely has improved the game experience a lot. Speaking of Capital, I know I was scrolling through your videos recently, and I saw the last Capital video you did was a sneak peek video. Are you enjoying the Capital, or just focusing on other stuff, or what?
I mean, I'll pop in there and do it, but it's like there's nothing competitive about the Capital. I post like Capital content on my Facebook and stuff like that. Just like it's just a different style of video that I prefer to go over to there to go play around with it. But like, I mean, as far as like Capital goes, since there's nothing competitive about it, it's just bash your head against a base until it goes down. And there's nothing crazy. There's nothing that's challenging about it. It's just throw yourself at it until you take it down, and then move on to the next one, and then do the exact same thing. You don't really lose at any point. You just need to progress longer. And it's like, and on top of that, you get so many raid medals out of everything that I can just kind of squeeze in a couple here and there, and I get so many raid medals. I have all the donations I could want, and that's all I care about, So it's like you get the rewards for very, very little effort. You have such a small amount of content to consume every week, and then you're done, and then you move on and you go actually play the game.
And the thing is, the clan capital, like I assume most of you guys are using super archers or sneaky archers in your hits. Like there aren't many attack strategies, which is kind of a shame because there are lots of different types of troops, but like they just don't seem to be being utilized that much, which is slightly a shame. I just literally go in with the same army. I don't look at the base usually, play super archers, and that's kind of it.
Well,
like
one of the difficulties there is you have, since super archers are one of the few things that can shoot down your electro or the Aegis, what do you call them, super dragons on defense, right? So I think with a lot of the bases, you're very limited on what you can do because there's very few troops that can actually fight back against a super dragon. And so that alone limits you pretty heavily. And then it's just a matter of just, like I said, bashing your head against the wall enough times until it breaks, you know?
Yeah.
Eventually you'll take it down, you know? It's not, I don't know. I don't make a lot of content on it because there's just nothing competitive and I don't really do casual content. I'd rather stick to war content. And I think that is such a small little side. It's almost, I don't want to compare it to builder base, but it's like, it's just a small little distraction from what the game we actually are here to play, you know? It's entertaining mildly, but there's not the competitive edge that you need to hook people into it.
Yeah. Is there anything you think that could, improve it to make it more competitive?
At the current state, they need to tweak it pretty significantly and open up, like we'd basically have to be able to turn it into something that you have a versus where you can do like a clan versus clan and start tournaments and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's just farming extra homework that we have to do on the side.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Clan Capital current is you can't lose. Like, I guess technically in a raid, you can, your entire clan can run out of raids. But apart from that, if you just, like you said, if you just keep bashing a base, you're going to crack it eventually. So there's not really a scope for wars or anything at the moment, unless they made it so you could lose. But then they would have to completely restructure, how raids work. So
I mean, I like the rewards for it. It's got good rewards. And so, like, it's worth it to go play it and get the rewards from it. But as far as anything outside of that, its impact on esports, which is my concentration, there's nothing. There's no impact on esports other than easier donations. And that's just the way it is,
Yeah.
All right. Okay, taking another question from one of our users. What do you think about the amount of ground attacks in the competitive scene versus air right now?
I think it's fine because Lalo, especially since Lalo is one of the attacks that requires the most multitasking, you end up being able to have all these pro players just be really, really good at Lalo, and like most people can't be like that good with it. But I like to see the ground attacks there, and they just had the balance that tweaked, so they are really good. Like you have a couple of really, really, really incredible ground attacks there, and they're just not quite as widely used against the top pros because they like the control that you have during a Lalo, and some of those other ones you end up with a bit of chance, and they don't like that, so they like to stick with something that you have 100% control. And like a Queen Charge Lalo or a Sui Hero Lalo is 100% control. You have tons and tons and tons of customization of where you want to put the troops and exactly what you want to target and how they're going to move to the base, where a lot of other attacks you're left to a lot of chance. You go with any of those smash attacks and things attack the wrong wall and get pulled off to the side, you're screwed. You go in with the dragon attack and things don't path directly into the core, then you're screwed. Like there's just, I think the ground attacks obviously are really, really strong, but a lot of them have extra factors that the pros don't like to play with, and so they stick to the Lalo attacks where they can have more consistency, and I think that's good. But then everybody sees all the Lalo attacks and like, oh, there's too many Lalo attacks, Lalo's too strong. It's like, no, it's not that Lalo's really overpowered. It's that it's really good in the hands of players who can actually have the skill to use it, and then it gets the common player that's not. So then they'll stick to the chance strategies like dragons, and they'll do all right with them, but not to the same level.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like, obviously, lots of people talk about, air being, unbalanced. No one uses ground attacks, but I would probably guess that in most normal wars, super bowlers are probably used more than an attack like Lalo, compared to a pro war where it is a lot more Lalo. So I think people, when they watch YouTube, they often watch Pro Wars. So they get this kind of perception that everyone uses Lalo, everyone uses air, no one uses ground.
No,
But then
absolutely not.
if they actually look at the game, a lot of people still use ground.
Yeah, actually one of my most preferred strategies right now is ground. So I've been using the Yeti Super Wizard Bat attack, and I use it in Clan War Leagues, I use it in a random spans, and I use it a lot of my regular Town Hall 14 wars. And it hits very, very easily at 75% hit rates. And I'm not doing anything amazing with it. It's basically almost pure spam, and it just completely levels bases. And it's not that there's obviously some really, really powerful ground strategies out there. You got like Super Witches, Queen Charge Hybrid, and the smash attacks that go in with the Super Bowlers or the P.E.K.K.A. smashes or whatever. But like that Yeti attack there is like, if you're trying to figure out an attack that will just completely level most Town Hall 13 14 bases, like it's hard to beat that, especially when they have anti 2-star bases and you're playing the Clan War Leagues and stuff. It just completely levels them without any effort at all. It's way easier than a Lalo.
So you just said 75%. Is that like was that kind of an estimate, or are you actually tracking stats?
Just a rough estimate from what I've been doing in my wars recently since I started using that strategy. And like I don't know, I get so many 6-packs with it, it's hard to even keep track. I miss one every once in a while, but
6-pack all the time, all casual.
I know. The struggle's real.
So how many accounts are you running then?
I just run one of every level, and I have one of every level from 14 to 9, and then I have an 8 that just kind of sits passive, and then a second 11 that's engineered that doesn't get played.
Are you in wars with them all the time?
Oh, we have tournaments going on all the time. Like we're playing. Yeah. We have so many with like the Mulan Cup and the GCC and a lot of these other like small tournaments, like Forgotten Town Hall League and stuff like that. Like we are running tournaments on a daily basis, almost. Like we almost always have something going on. And when we don't, then there's somebody else in the league that I can go stream and cover that instead. So there's literally something going on almost every day.
How many hours a day do you think you put into Clash? Taking everything into account, not just playing, but all your content creation and everything.
Probably 60, 70 hours a week. I don't know.
Oh wow. That's a lot.
It depends. It's like sometimes it's like a little bit more passive, and it's just like it can be as little as like 2 hours a day, and then it can be as much as I spend 12 hours a day on it multiple days in a row, especially when I start traveling and everything, and I have to start stacking that on top of it.
Like, are you still having just as much fun now that it's more of a job?
Oh yeah. Now I can concentrate on it, so I don't have to juggle a job and try to do this at the same time. That's been like that for almost a year and a half now, 2 years. Well, probably more than 2 years. Actually, I've had a little stuff that I've had to juggle in between, but for the most part, just doing this full time has been enough to keep you busy all day, or a big chunk of the day. But it's just one of those things where it's like you work from home, and so the stuff that you have to do is just scattered throughout the day, and so it's just like you do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, and by the time you're finishing up for the day, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and you were going at it since you woke up, but you have like breaks throughout the day where you're just like, I need to step away from it. I don't want to edit videos right now or whatever, but you could do it all in one stretch and just be done with it, but I'm not like that.
I guess walk us through your journey as a content creator, from where you first started to how you got to be in, Clash with Eric now.
Yeah. Well, so I used to work an overnight shift at a factory. And when like all the guys when I started working there, like, hey, you should play Clash, and I'm like, okay, let's go play Clash. We got into it. I started getting into it way more than they got into it, and they all started to stop playing and started to move to like Clash Royale when it came out. And then I was just like, well, I don't really like Clash Royale. It's like, it's okay. I don't hate it. I just it just felt like more of a grind, and I didn't feel like I was enjoying it. And so I started deleting all my extra accounts from like Boom Beach and Clash Royale. And every time I deleted one of those games, I started another Clash account. And then everybody that I worked with started quitting. And I was just like, all right, well, if you guys aren't going to play with me, then I'm going to go find another gaming group. And I'm like, all right, well, what's the only gaming group that I hear about all the time that I want to get into? And it was One Hive. So I just like on a whim applied to One Hive, and they were recruiting at the time, luckily, and I got in. And then I played in One Hive 2.0 for 4 or 5 months before I got a chance to play in the One Hive main clan. And that only happened because like the whole One Hive main clan was like completely decked out with like top level players, and you had like dark looters and stuff like that, and they were also like decked out. And so it was really hard to get into a main position on a high level account into one of those wars, because like the whole season generally relied on those top players at Town Hall 12 at the time to be able to deliver, right? And so I finally got my opportunity when Clan War Leagues came out, and at the time most of the wars they were running like 4, maybe 5 of Town Hall 12s being the max of the game, and suddenly we had to field 15. And so everybody started like mixing clans together and bringing clan families together as much as they can to be able to field 15 strong players to actually be competitive, because that was also at the time a path into the World Championship to go through Clan War Leagues, right? So then they just went full on into it, and they started bringing our people up and giving people a chance from the feeder clans. And then I finally got my chance, walked in there, absolutely rocked it during the first chance to go into Clan War Leagues, and then suddenly Supercell's like, hey, One Hive want to come out for the Clan War Leagues? And they're like, you want to go? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And I went, and then got all the rep from that, and then with the One Hive name behind me, I was able to launch the YouTube channel, and then it was all history from there,
Yeah, I know One Hive has a really cool and long history. It's like one of the, it's almost like an institution in the game too. I know when I first started out, it was all like Jake was just like the guy who you go to for everything. But yeah, I know I saw the tweet a little bit ago about One Hive kind of taking a step back from 5 versus 5. What was going on there?
I mean, now that there's so many big esports teams and stuff like that, like a lot of the talent ends up going to the big names, and so we have a lot of our original players a lot of them have retired or taken a step back, because like when you play at that level for that length of time, it's taxing. Like you're constantly trying to come up with bases. You're constantly, especially when you're in a highly streamed clan, when I'm sitting there burning everybody's bases every single time I log in, then it becomes a little bit difficult to hold on to some fresh bases. And so we had to have whole teams just to sit there and build bases. So we had fresh bases everywhere, and that became taxing, and it just wears down on you after a while, and you can't play at that level for forever. And you see it with a lot of big name teams. They play at a certain level, and then they have to take a step back. They got to take a break from it a little bit and wind down. Like we see it with War and Glory after they were Space Station Gaming out of the US, and now they kind of just they're still really good. So there's just so much raw talent on the team, but like they go play in the Snapdragon and they got wrecked, but you see it all over the place there, and it's just the nature of the beast. You have all of our original talent is gone. I don't play pro anymore because I can't compete and cast in the same tournament. Legally I can't, so I have to sit back. Same with Carbon Fin. Lexnos will probably make the transition soon. Itsu already did. All the people who want to get into casting and into streaming and stuff like that, we have legal repercussions if we try to play in the tournaments that we're trying to get contracted to work for, So when you start to take us out of it, then the team name starts to dwindle a little bit there. So like you don't see Carbon Fin trying to play with Tribe, and you don't see our Lexnos is still able to play with Chazmac because he's not casting, so he can still play. So I don't know. It's a different beast there when you are trying to transition into casting.
Like, kind of what point did you think you step back from playing professionally and go into casting? Like, what kind of made you make that change? Because obviously it's a pretty permanent one if you legally can't play in certain tournaments.
It was like after the second World Championship. No, wait, I guess it was after the first World Championship. I wanted to get into the casting, and I kept getting overlooked, and I was like, all right, well, they can't, because I am playing and I keep on signing up for the tournaments, and they can't get me into it. Like I was told specifically when in the 2020 season, in the 2020 World Championship season, they're like, we can bring you in as like a special guest or whatever. You can come say hi and do a short segment, but you can't actually cast. So you have to sit back and then when we have an opening, we'll get you in, kind of thing. It's like not like you end up losing out on those opportunities, and it's like you don't know when they're going to call your name to be like, hey, come cast Worlds or something like that. But you have to be prepared and keep your distance from the other tournaments. And when I started to do that, then I had the other opportunities from like ESL pop up and was able to get into that. So it ended up I like stepping stones into it, because that's like Carbon Fin was his first tournament straight before he started doing Worlds was the ESL tournaments, right? So it's like you do one step at a time and eventually you get up there. There wasn't like, I guess after the season 1 of Worlds was when I started to start thinking about that a lot more, because I'm like, well, I'm not going to be on a team that's going to win Worlds, but I want to focus on my specialty, which is the content creation side of things. And I'm like, I'll play to my strengths and push for that instead and make that the focus.
So I imagine you also have to stay pretty objective while you're doing the casting then.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm a fans of all these teams. I have my favorites, and people know, like, people have everybody has their favorites. But I'm like, yeah, you play it as non-biased as you can. But obviously, there's underdog. You know who's the underdog, and you know who the top teams are, and that's no secret. And you can just learn to play to that in your casting. It's not like you don't have to be cheering for a specific team and cheering against another team. You never cheer against a team. You just cheer for the team that you think is the big team that you want to see there, and if the other team upsets them, then it's just like, oh snap,
Are there any particular like players that are possibly favorites for whatever reason?
Oh yeah, Synthé from MSC Sports is my favorite. I tell him all the time, and he sends me hearts on Twitter. And Synthé is definitely my favorite. He's a lot of fun to watch. Everybody loves him.
Yeah, his whole variety attacks are extremely fun.
Yeah.
I know. Like I always like I'll watch those videos and then I'll try and get cute, and it's always terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that is the thing about watching games. Like whenever I watch Pro War, I think, like they could do that. Why can't I do that? And I go into a war attack, and oh my god! Like the first time I tried a Skelly Donuts, that was a different experience.
That
was not what I watched.
You have to have proficiency. It doesn't work without it.
Yeah.
There's some government loopholes to jump through, and so I'm sure they get their obstacles, and they're going to figure it out because it's worth their money.
All right, so here's a question from Eccentric Noodle. He says, any hope for the Town Hall Attack tier list series to come back?
Oh, I did one video on that, and I wanted to do more. They're a lot of work, though. There's so much prep because I got to build graphics for every single different attack for the list, and it's like, actually making the video once it's all set up is a piece of cake. But I'm like, I gotta have the motivation to sit there for hours on end building graphics to just set up the video, and I need to do it. It's definitely been on my list of things to do, but just haven't got around to it. So it does need to come back, though. I need to go in and finish my series there and probably redo the series from start, But yes, that performed really, really well. A lot of people enjoyed that, and it's I do want to bring it back.
Yeah, I know a lot of the balance changes we just got to are aimed down at that Town Hall 8 to 11 range. I know, which is it's kind of weird to me a little bit. Was there anything significant out of those that you recall?
I know
really
affect. I mean, that level's generally easy anyways, but the problem is at all those low levels, everybody just spams dragons. They just zap out their defenses and spam dragons. So it's just like it's just like bringing go wipe and stuff back. It's nothing crazy. I like the changes that they did with Valkyries, like across the board, like all the way through. We've been breaking out Valkyrie attacks like crazy, and they're crushing. Like the small little buff that they got, like they're pretty solid. I've been impressed with them actually.
What town halls?
We just did I don't know if you saw on YouTube over the last few days here, but we've been breaking them out at 10, 11, and 12. And they're like just like almost like usually at like Town Hall 10 and lower or whatever, we're breaking out Valkyries with bowlers and we're doing Falcon attacks, right? but we started breaking out just mass Valkyries more often because the polars just weren't performing. And so we went with we've been going with attacks with 15 to 20 Valkyries in them, and the Valkyries just by themselves with just a queen following along, as long as you don't run into a lava hound defense, like they just rip through bases, and they make quick work of them. It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, when they actually go into the base, they're always extremely
that helps.
Yeah.
And then don't immediately attack a different wall and leave the base again. Yeah. Facts.
Right. I wonder, have we mostly got through the questions on the document? Are you looking at the live chat right now?
Yeah, I'm been trying to browse and talk at the same time to see what other stuff's popping up. Whole lot of like specific questions. Like stuff like what's your favorite builder hall attack?
Oh, baby dragons. Clearly. Baby dragons. Well, it depends. It depends because Builder Hall has a little bit of a transition that you have to make. So when you're building a Builder Hall account, if you're going from like any random level, the first thing I always upgrade is baby dragons, because baby dragons are the strongest solo troop and they can clear most bases, especially even just mildly rush bases all the way up to Builder Hall 9. But then you need to transition and start getting the cannon cards to get the builder, and then once I have a max builder base, then I go with a dropship minion, and that's because I'm lazy. But let's be real.
That's all I do.
I just want to get my I'm just trying to get my attacks done for like the clan gaze or something like that. But if I'm actually trying to progress in it, then it's baby dragons all the way.
I know baby dragons get no respect because everyone just says do carts and barbs, especially if you're just going for auto. But
no,
baby dragons
baby dragons is a solo troop.
Yeah,
you quickly get to Builder Hall 8 or 9, I mean, and then you can start to build up the carts after you rush up there and just level everything with baby dragons along the way. And then all you got to do is, because baby dragons are so fast, they can triple faster than a lot of other attacks, and so then you just beat the clock and you can progress like crazy. That's how I do every single one of my accounts, and I have the 6 builder unlocked on every single one of them.
Yeah, the other thing I love about baby drags too is it's a lot less dependent on having your builder hero up as well. It feels like there's a lot less swing.
Yep.
Because if you're doing the cart based stuff, losing that hero, like you got to deal with dropping 200-300 trophies and then winning your way back up, and you have them for a day, and then it's annoying. But baby drags consistently good across the board, and I'm glad someone is showing them respect.
Yeah, I got full videos on it.
Baby dragons mean I actually have to look at my screen and I can't just
I know, that's the worst part. I actually have to pay attention. I can't just drop it all in a pile and move on to the next attack. Yeah.
With builder base. Like, if you're not on home village, fine, but if you're going to make me look at the screen for more than 10 seconds on builder base, like,
it's rough. It is.
Yeah.
I agree.
I guess talking about builder base, and how it was, a side village similar to Clan Capital. Do you think Clan Capital will kind of end up like Builder Base, with us all joking about it and laughing at the expense? Or do you think it's going to go a different, possibly more positive direction?
I think it will have its hype for a little while, but I fear that it has the same fate as the Builder Base. I think people will go do it because it's not like it involves your clan a lot more than the builder base does. I think the clan leaders will focus on it a bit more to try to continue to push progress and stuff like that. So we'll at least have that, the like team aspect, where builder base was almost completely solo. And so it definitely has a benefit there to like bring a community together a little bit. But until it has a competitive factor to it, it's just not going to have the same impact as the main village. It's going to end up being just a side project of everything else, and it's this way I feel when I play it. It's like when games just start adding like, oh, more things to do in the game, but it's not anything that actually impacts the game that you want to play.
Yeah,
it's just a side thing that is distracting from the main thing.
So, what was your first impression? Because we heard they first told us about the capital back in like March. So yeah, well, like, what was your first impression at least in between hearing what the big new feature was, and then actually getting your hands on it and playing it?
I just wanted to know how it was going to affect esports, and it has no tie over to esports, so it was kind of just like, All right, that's fine. It's something for the casual players to enjoy, and I mean, if it brings more people, more playtime, and they're actually enjoying it, then cool. It's just an extra thing, and it'll just it's only going to help the game. It's not like it's taking away anything. It's only adding things and adding more ways for people to do stuff. So it's like it's only going to help the game. So I'm a fan of it in that respect. I'm a fan of anything that is going to just get people playing the game more and give them a reason to log in, because that generally just helps the health of the game as a total. So it's going to end up helping all aspects of the game as a result. So I'm a fan of it because of that. But the actual gameplay, I could pass.
Anything on your wish list for Town Hall 15?
Oh, we talked about that on the stream today. What I want to see is, I think, an interesting way, which is hard to balance, that they should transition to. And I've been saying it for a long time. I don't know if they'll ever do it. They probably won't. But I think that an interesting way to add more customization to your army would be like basically hero equipment. So like you have the Iron Fist for the king. Could you swap that out to something else that makes so that he has a heal spell instead of a rage when he spawns his barbarians? Could you have a queen ability instead of the royal cloak? You have a longer range bow that you sacrifice the ability to use a royal cloak, but you have 1 tile extra range. Like little things like be able to have different customization of gear on your heroes to swap their abilities to different effects. I think something like that would be really cool. And I think something like that to add to Town 15, and maybe you upgrade their pad and you start to upgrade, unlock equipment and stuff like that. That would be kind of an interesting way to go with it. But I don't know. We'll see what they end up coming up with.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping pets would be, essentially. And it's a little disappointing that, basically I don't think I've touched my pet house in,
no, everybody puts them on the same heroes.
Yeah,
and they have a best hero to put on, and that's just the case. Moved. They just stay there.
Yeah, I don't like the last time I touched my pet house was to re-equip the last pet I finished upgrading.
Yeah. And when you do change them, you just end up getting frustrated that you went into an attack and they weren't on the right one later on, and then you're just like, I'm never changing it again, and you put it back.
Yeah.
But
I think that would be the biggest thing to consider if they did go with that like alternative abilities route, was that there can't just be one kind of right or good option.
That's what I mean. The balance is difficult because you have to make both options be good in different scenarios. And if you have a best option, then everybody will choose the best option and the other one will go away. And they'll have to then rebalance that. And it's just it'd be a fight to balance it around there. And it definitely would be tricky.
Yeah, I know. Like we always hear them talking about, they want players to make those difficult choices and have to have some level of sacrifice and multiple pets. And even if it's just 4 more pets that have, another ideal pairing, you're still making a choice between them at that point. So much stuff they're doing. It feels like there's a lot of potential and it has built a great foundation. And then now it's 14 months later and here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, I wonder if they will add new pets for Town Hall 15.
I mean, no. Well, was it Darian who was saying that they okay, so I'm expecting a Town Hall 15 update mid-October and latest by mid-December. I'm saying earliest mid-October, latest mid-December. I think they will announce the Town Hall 15 at the World Championship, and we will have sneak peeks out within 2 weeks, and we'll have it out before Halloween so that we can have the October update. That's my timeline that I predict. I think from a marketing sense and point of view, and for the World Championship circuits, I think that's the best path forward with that. But there's also where do you go with Town Hall 15 is always the question, because like Darian has said, just because we put out a hero at every odd level, that doesn't guarantee that we're going to put out it. That's just by coincidence. That's what we just did. That doesn't mean it's going to continue that trend. I think another hero would be overbearing. I think it's too much. But they had to find something else creative to go in for offense and defense. And I think more customization to your heroes would be the way to go. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I guess it's just that odd art of everyone wants more, but then Supercell don't want to overcomplicate the game. So it's this really, really weird balance. But yeah, I think those kind of new hero abilities, that would definitely be cool, as long as there weren't loads and it was almost overwhelming. Say there was like a whole skill tree or something.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, I think
that would be too much. I'm saying
that speaks into
start with one alternate.
Yeah,
maybe start with one alternate ability, like the king heals instead of rages, and the queen has one extra tile of range, and gives up a royal cloak for it, like something like that, where it's like there's utility, but you give up a massive other utility in the same swing. You know,
they just need to go carefully one at a time and make sure it's perfectly balanced, because the second there's a best option, no one is using the other one, and then the whole point of it is gone.
I know, like, it seems like most everything they've done in the last 4 or 5 years has been moving the game to be a little more simple, and maybe simple is putting it too hard, but like removing all those special things, like how you thinking way long ago the damage and a half to hogs from giant bombs, and you can't heal through infernos, and the extra Tesla damage to P.E.K.K.A.s from way back when, and now the Eagles, the Eagles all the same. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of hopes for an extra layer of complication, but man, that would be fun.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of those changes were warranted and they needed to happen anyways. Like the blocking and healing was just kind of I think when they got rid of that was a huge step forward. That was kind of a nuisance, and because it basically just put everybody to always put their bolt up. It made single infernos irrelevant, is what I mean. Like, it just made so a multi inferno was just like a 5 single infernos all in one. Like, it just burned through queen charges and any healing attack, and like that was just a giant nuisance. But they definitely did make the game easier over time, but I think it was for the better, because it was way, 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 way too hard at the top level. Back when 10-11 was max, and it really killed the game. It almost did kill the game, because the whole game was on the verge of going down, because it was just like you couldn't getting an 11 versus 11 triple was almost impossible. Getting a 10 versus 10 triple was almost impossible. And so every single war, it was Town Hall 11s trying and hoping that they could get a dip. And then the Town Hall 10s were just reaching and trying to get a 2-star. And that's really what determined every single war. It was just ridiculous. That's not how the game should have ever been. So I think it went in the right direction.
Yeah. So over the years, what's been like your favorite meta?
Town Hall 12 has always been my favorite. And that's where I played pro the most time. And I mean, obviously people say I'm the witch god, right? So that's always, the witch strategies have always been my favorite. And there's so many different ways that you can use witches. They're my favorite by far. And everything that uses witches and bats in general, everything that uses bats
are so much fun when they work.
Yeah, they are. They're so satisfying, like to just get all the splash damage under control there and to sweep a big old bat wave through the base and just lay waste to it, and you make one little mistake and it's over. And and it's like it's fun. It's exhilarated every single time I do it.
Yeah, I love watching like pro attacks, and they, in those rare occasions, and they bring bats. And I'm watching the attack, possibly forgetting they've got bats. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna fail, and then just suddenly there's this wave that just demolishes the base. I'm like, okay, that works. Yeah,
bats are a lot of fun. Awesome. I like drag bat, P.E.K.K.A. bat, any witch bat attack. Like, love it. Icy or 5 icy golem or whatever. Like all those. Even though I failed one of those today, really bad. That's embarrassing. But
all right, I think we got time for one more before we wrap it up. So just to close this out, I know another one of our mods who couldn't make it here tonight had said, you've had a wild ride for the last few years. Where do you see yourself in, like, how do you view your future in Clash, over the next couple of years?
Well, we've been doing a lot more casting, which has been pretty exciting. So now that traveling is starting to open up, we start to see more live events. I just hope that the investment into Clash esports ends up paying out, and we can continue to build the audience with it. It's just right now it's just a goal to try to introduce more and more people into Clash esports and get them involved, and that just grows the game as a whole and gives a lot of longevity for the far future. Like esports are the lifeblood that will keep a game going for many, many, many years past where it should have stopped. And so we concentrate on that. And we keep on introducing more and more people and the low levels to the high levels. And that's always been my goal of my channel, is is to get Clash Esports to all different levels of player and bring them into it, because a lot of people don't even know it exists. There's so many people out there that don't have no idea that's even a thing. And it's just a matter of trying to reach those people, and slowly over time we're getting there. It's going in the right direction though, because there's a lot of like big name Clash players who don't make content outside of that, and they just are so good at the game and win so many tournaments, and now people start to recognize that they are the top players or whatever, and so you end up to start building a team fan base and a player fan base, and that is the start. When you stop thinking when this is like faceless people behind playing in a random team, when you can actually see a person and you start to, when people start to become a fan of that person, a fan of that team, that's when esports really starts to take off and get grip into the general society. Like it's that's how we got to get, and we're getting there. We're on our way. Like it's really, really getting established hard.
If people are unaware, where can people find your content?
Fun fact: if you just YouTube search Eric and nothing else, I still show up in the top 10.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
but yeah, just go Clash Eric and you'll find me anywhere. It's pretty easy.
Have you ever been recognized out in the wild?
All the time. Yep.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was at when I was out in California for the Snapdragon over the weekend. I went to Disneyland, and one of the ride operators, when I was getting on, he had to stop and chat with me and do a selfie. Like there's definitely that you definitely just randomly run into people, and usually it's when I am wearing something Clash related to jog their memory. They're like, wait a second, But every once in a while, you get the random person who recognizes you completely just in normal clothes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
That must have just a surreal feeling.
Yeah. It happens enough that it's not that big of a deal anymore, But you have people come out every once in a while. Usually it's at like the gym or something like that, where you're sitting in one spot for a long time, and then because people will recognize you, and you notice that people will stare or whatever, but they don't actually say anything. And then you're like, I have a feeling they know, but it's like, you have to be in the same spot for a long time or trapped in a line with somebody before they're standing next to you for 5 or 10 minutes before they actually say anything.
All right. Thanks again. For everyone else listening, you'll be able to find this tomorrow. We'll push it out through Apple and Spotify and wherever else you can get podcasts at. Go check out Eric. I know I'm a huge fan. I love all your stuff. And all I can say is thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right.
It's been awesome having you on. Thank you.